So I'm going to do something different with this video. This is just going to be a one take video, hopefully no edits thrown in there. So recently we know with COVID in Florida, things have been changing now. It's been a lot of talk in the community. A lot of fans have been talking about how Halloween Horror Nights is going to go forward. Is it going to be canceled? Is it going to be 5 houses? Is it going to be no zones? We're going to talk all about that in this little brief, quick, one take video. So, rumors have been going around. I've heard it from everybody. Their sources have said, no zones. There's going to be limited houses. And what I do believe is that Horror Nights is going to change. Horror Nights is not going to be the same event that we've gone to in the past. Obviously, it just can't be that. It's got to change. And what that means is that the capacity, and I probably said that wrong anyway. Basically, the amount of people they allow into the event. And if you don't already know, Horror Nights is probably one of the biggest, I think, events that Universal throws at their park. It has sold out before on multiple nights. That's why they're going to probably change the tickets on. That's the first thing I want to talk about. Ticket sales, and what they normally do is they normally have a bunch of options. So you have like the ultimate, you have like frequent fear, rush of fear, the regular tickets. I think they're going to change that. They're going to probably take out frequent fear because depending on how, the flattening and how numbers look going forward, you don't want a bunch of frequent fear pass holders or people that buy tickets to be coming back to the event, adding to the numbers, because you want to make this basically VIP, in regular tickets is how you probably want to limit how many people are coming to the event. Another way is that they're probably going to be adding virtual lines or a virtual queue kind of type of thing, so that way you're not waiting in these lines, you're not waiting next to people, because there's no way to sort of keep that at bay when you're having people have to be 6 feet apart. How do you control that in the line space? These queue lines are huge. There's almost no way of doing that. So that's the new way I think they're going to kind of implement. They already kind of do that in the park now with Fast and Furious and the Jimmy Fallon ride. They have that sort of system where you go onto your phone and you are able to like queue yourself, and then you come back between a certain amount of time, and then you go to the ride. And I believe that's how they're going to do the haunted houses now. This is going to change how they do Express. I'm not quite sure how they're going to implement that into this whole virtual. I imagine they would do it just like they do the rides anyway. They're just going to have a virtual and Express. I imagine just probably how they're going to do things on that. Now, speaking of the event itself, I think we're still going to have 10 houses. That's not going to change. We're still going to have scare zones, to say the least. I've heard rumors of no scare zones. It doesn't kind of make sense to me why they would not do scare zones. I mean, they can still do them in certain ways. So if you remember back when they had HHN icons, I want to say over on Hollywood Boulevard, they had sort of these makeshift gigantic stage that the icons perform deaths on. So they can still do something like that in scare zones, have sort of this stage presence, maybe 1 or 2 people kind of running around, maybe some effects, maybe some fog. I think enough of that will be okay. And the chainsaw drill team, for the most part, they can always wear masks. They'll be covered in case they come close to people, or they can do some kind of type of implement, the surgical like breathing mask type of thing into the zone. That way the actors are well taken care of. They don't touch people, so that's kind of a safety measure. That's a-okay. There will be some degree that they have to obviously not have a scare zone with people having surgical masks like we've had in the past, because if everyone's going to be wearing probably masks, it's going to not mix well, especially with the American audience. Although in Japan they're allowed to wear Halloween costumes, but I can obviously understand why we wouldn't be allowed to do that with the alcohol sales going on. Some of the restaurants are obviously going to either be open to a limited amount of people or close, or just going to be some kind of food tent areas. A lot more of those maybe might come to the event, because these restaurants really do get packed, especially Monsters gets really packed during the event. So to cater to everybody, and especially the Simpsons one gets packed. So I'm thinking they're going to have a lot more food kind of tent areas, so you can like pick your food up and kind of go, like you're not like huddled around type of atmosphere is how I think. And the shows are still going to go on. I don't know how they're going to space that out, especially like the Lagoon show is kind of already spaced, but are they going to leave it up to us kind of to have some kind of, safety measures on our own to kind of like not be next to people? With the other bigger show that takes place, the Academy of Villains, if that's the one that's coming back, they can just, I guess, space it out some way. I don't know. That's up to them how they kind of figure out how to space out a gigantic audience that watches that show. That's probably a headache all in itself. But there's that. There's the virtual queue line. There's inside the haunted houses. If you don't know, there's some flaps that kind of separate you from one room to the next, and it kind of leaves that surprise. Kind of gives the actors a lot of room to kind of reset the scene. I don't believe those are going to be in the houses, because people touch them. They're already been dirty. That's probably why a lot of people get sick coming to Horror Nights, but the weather and touching everything. So I do believe those are going to be taken out of the haunted house, as well as the interactive buttons I don't think will be featured in the house as well. And there's going to be hand sanitizer all throughout this event. As much as you see scare actors, there's going to be hand sanitizer, when you walk into a house, probably when you walk out of a house, all throughout the streets. They're going to be located next to the restrooms. So do believe that's going to take place. Just when the park opens, that's already going to be a thing. So I think that's going to transition into Halloween Horror Nights. Now, as speaking of how they're going to do the metal detectors and situation outside of the gate, they're going to have some kind of new safety measures on that one, because what I've always seen, and when I've never made it into the park early enough for Stay and Scream, is that the park is crazy outside the gates. There's just a massive amount of people. They're all huddled together because you're trying to get through security and then your tickets. So they're going to have to come up with a new way of doing that. I don't know, with the spacing and maybe having longer lines be more spread out throughout the entrance type of thing, or something to that degree is the only way I think they can do that. So that's going to obviously have to change. But yeah, we're still going to have an event. Don't worry, it's still going to happen. We're still going to have the event. It's just going to be a little altered in how we do things. And yeah, what are your thoughts about this change? Are you excited for it? Are you excited for virtual queuing up for a haunted house? Or do you think this event is just gonna kind of be a toss away because of all this stuff going on? What are your thoughts? How do you plan to prepare for the event? Leave it down in the comment section. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for the likes. Thank you guys for all the comments. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Can't say it enough. We're almost at 5K, almost there. So thank you guys, and hopefully we can get back to a normal schedule with life and recording, and hopefully you guys can get back to the parks. So with that being said, that is it for the video. Adios. I'm out of here. And thirsty as well. One take video. Wow. Done.